Hello everybody, welcome back to week 2. I'm your host, Keegan Cooper, with Story Behind the Story. This week we'll talk to Samantha Collison about her story on the Missouri Arboretum, hear from James Christensen about the Magician Company campus, and later on we'll talk to Justin Quick about Bearcat sports. But joining us now, Samantha Collison. How are you doing, Samantha?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing
awesome.
well.
That's awesome. So Missouri Arboretum, 25 years of growth.
Yeah.
It's amazing history, and I know Thomas Gaunt in 1857 kind of started off, so you can kind of talk a little bit about the history and kind of how that all works.
So the property originally belonged to Thomas Gaunt, and then it became university property when the university started in 1915. And ever since then, it's just been growing with more trees, more species, more conservation efforts, everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I know 2007, the big ice storm came through, wiped out trees.
40% of the trees on campus were wiped out. But the cool thing is, in 2008, the year after, over 300 commemorative trees were planted on campus, which were donated by students, faculty, student organizations. It was incredible.
That's awesome. And I know there's 3 trails on campus, right?
Yeah.
So you were able to walk those and see all the different trees.
Yeah, and the thing about the trails is they're a little outdated because they haven't been updated since they were created. And right now the Arboretum has focused a lot on developing the app so students can go out and really interact with the trees and understand them. But their next project is going to be really redrawing those trails so that way they can really optimize those paths around campus.
But can you talk a little bit about the app? What's the process going through that? How's that going to look?
So the app was originally created several years ago by a computer science group, but it's been recently updated by the Arboretum team. And so it's currently available on Android, and a web portal is available, and it'll soon be available on Apple. And it has a lot of information about what tree species, how to recognize tree species, whether it has acorns or fruit, and it's just really, and it also lists if it's a commemorative tree, who donated it. So it's just really comprehensive about every tree on campus.
So I could go on that app, and if I was interested in going to see a tree that I haven't seen before, I can do it. So in theory, I could see every single tree on
You could walk
campus.
up to any tree and it will give you information.
And we've received a lot of awards.
Yeah, and one of the really big things is we're now at a level 2 accreditation nationally, and we're on our way to a level 3. And so we already have the correct number of trees for level 3. We already do conservation efforts, and we interact with other arboretums and other universities. But the big thing is we want to do more research. And so Pat's big dream is to kind of have a research center on campus be built and hire more full-time researchers so we can reach that level 3.
That's incredible. So like the research involved like which trees we should bring on campus, kind of what is that? Like what research are we looking into?
How climate and weather affects certain trees, how certain species do under foreign climate. So we have a lot of rare trees that aren't necessarily native to this area, things like that.
I know. Is there a process? Say you wanted to donate a tree to campus. Is there a process you can go through to get
Yes,
through
you
that?
can go through the website, the Arboretum section of the website, and you can donate a tree for any reasons, and it costs about $500, just one payment, and then it'll take care of the planting and all the upkeep for that tree.
That's awesome. And I know each year it's commemorative. The incoming freshman class is a tree planted in their honor. And for me personally, I go back to my class tree every year, and I like to see how it grows because you get invested in that. And then after 4 years from now, I know, especially speaking to the senior class last year, they saw their tree grow to its maximum potential. And then you make the connection between those students coming in their freshman year and scared and everything.
Yeah.
And then walking across that stage their senior year, just, bright and bloomed and ready to go. But I am excited to see what comes next with the Arboretum and to see it keep growing, and if that research center gets here so we're able to keep it more. And I encourage students and everybody to go out there and just experience it. Really invest yourselves. I love reading the nameplates on the trees.
Yeah, me too.
To see which different ones it is.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much for joining me, Samantha. I had a great time, and I look forward to seeing how the Arboretum grows even more and more. But next up, we'll hear from James Christensen about the Magician coming to campus. But thanks so much, Samantha.
Thank you.
I'm Keegan Cooper, host of Story Behind the Story. We had a little bit of change of plans. Justin Quick's going to join us right now, but we'll hear from James Christensen later. How you doing, Justin?
I'm good.
I'm doing good. And let's just start off talking about Family Weekend was last weekend. A real nail-biter win for Northwest.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Missouri Southern being in toughest conference. They're playing in one of the toughest conference, if not the toughest conference. And this is back-to-back years they've lost 63-0. So what does that mean for Missouri Southern?
Well, I guess it means for them firing their head coach during this week. That's what they started. And I actually know a couple of the guys who played for Southern. I went to school with them, graduated with one of them, and I was kind of messaging him throughout the week, just kind of talking with him. And he kind of gave an inclination that they've heard rumbles that the coach might be gone, and he said it's frustrating from his standpoint. He's a senior. He's been there 3 years. This is his last year playing. And he's just frustrated because he sees the talent that they have on the team. They just don't know. They just haven't found a way to put it together.
What does this mean for Northwest? I mean, does this mean we're back to the gung-ho, just beating everybody down like we usually do?
We saw a little bit of a steady drop-off with the offense last season. This season, there's a feel that's different. They're moving the ball. They're spreading the ball around. They've got, I think, 8 or 9 guys who have found the end zone already this year, which they've got 18 touchdowns total, and they've got 8 or 9 guys who have been in the end zone, so they're spreading the ball around. And that's something Coach Wright has really hit on.
Freshman quarterback, redshirted, coming in, big shoes to fill. And so far, I mean, Northwest is 3-0, so it looks like he's doing that. Can we expect more from him? I know 3-0 first couple games, 3 wins. You can't complain about that. But can we expect more for him? Look for him to develop throughout the season and stuff like that.
I think you'll see a little bit of some of the growing pains when he, get into more of the tougher conference play coming, when they play Fort Hays or Central or those teams. But from what I've seen so far, the feel is that he's got such talent that those growing pains might be overshadowed by the talent that he has. Because watching him on the field, this dude is fast. Like, for a quarterback position, for any position, this guy is fast. When he gets in the open field, not a lot of people on the defense who can catch him. And he's been hitting the long ball so far. I mean, he's had a couple of touchdowns to Bain that are over 50 yards. And he's looking accurate down the field, which is an issue they had last year. They just couldn't find the accuracy down the field. They were missing some of those big plays.
Next matchup, the 22nd, we got Central Oklahoma at Central Oklahoma. And last year, we only won, 17-10. We only won by a touchdown and the extra point. So can we look? Is that the game where we're going to test our limits to see if Northwest is moved back to the old Northwest, as you were talking about? Coach Wright said.
So Central Oklahoma is one of those teams where you look at them, they're 1-2. Off the record, off the numbers, you say this team isn't very good. But if you actually look at the individual players they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of speed. They have a lot of physical talent on the team. It's just they've got to find a way to connect those. And if they do, they could be a very dangerous team in the conference. One thing I do look for, though, is the running ability of Wright, especially to stick out in this game. Central Oklahoma is giving up 206 yards per game on the ground. And between Caldwell, Strayhorn, and the rest of the running back pack they got, along with Wright, I think they really have an opportunity to expose that. And I think we could see a big ground game from the Bearcats this week.
We've got Central Oklahoma coming up Saturday at Central Oklahoma, so that's going to be exciting. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But I want to thank you for talking to me today. I'm excited to see Northwest go through. We've got the freshman quarterback. Want to make sure that he's be able to push through, maintain what he's doing. The running game is going to be key for against Central Oklahoma coming up this weekend. So that's exciting. But thanks for joining me, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
Next up, we'll talk to James Christensen about the magician coming to campus, and we'll be right back. The story behind the story. Keegan Cooper, your host of Story Behind the Story. Joining us now is James Christensen. How you doing, James?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Doing good. And we're going to talk about the magician coming to campus, and I'm super excited about that. Magic. It's one of those topics that you talk about, and is magic real? Is it not? Is it fake? Is it illusion? What do you think, James?
Well, it's definitely something you can talk about, but it's an entirely different experience to actually go and see it. Because I actually have seen Derek Hughes before when he was on America's Got Talent, and watching that on TV is like, oh God, there's mirrors up there, he's switching this out. But getting to see him live last week during Family Weekend, it's like, oh, magic is real. Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's like, people are like, oh, there's always these gimmicks and they have all these tricks or tripwires and stuff like that. But sometimes, some of those tricks, you don't know how they do it. And even if they explain it to you.
Yeah, literally. I was sitting in the second row and I could not see anything. Yeah. Like, I saw no mirrors, no switching, anything. And it's like, how do you do that?
It's always so interesting to see. Most definitely, but magic is incredible, and I'm glad that students are able to do that. It's one of those things that we may never be able to explain. You may never really always believe in it, but it's there and it's going to amaze you and stuff like that. What do you think the highlight of that show was, though? I mean, I know that road trick's pretty amazing. What do you think?
So sometimes magicians do this, like, innocuous thing in the beginning of the show where they'll give like an audience member to hold on to something, and then that becomes an integral part in the final illusion, which that's what he did. He brought 2 skeptics up onto the stage that thought, oh, this is just smoke and mirrors, all that fun stuff. Has them pick a card out of a deck. They memorize the card, put it back in the deck. Then he gets the envelope that he had an audience member sitting on for the entire show, opens it up, says this was his commitment to us, and has the exact same card in there, and the skeptic's just like, he loses it on the stage. And that was hilarious and just the best way to end the show.
It's incredible. It's super crazy. And I can't even, people are like, oh, magic's not real, but it just, it just happened right in front of your eyes. You know how to explain it. And then, you always get that line, magicians never reveal their secrets. So do you think there's an explanation to every magic trick in the world? Do you think it's real? That's my question to you today. Do you believe in magic?
Do I believe that every magician that claims to be a magician is good at it? No. Are there some that can mystify me and blow me out of the water? Yes. But there are some that are trained as illusionists where it's their job to trick us with the sleight of hand or with a distracting thing like those stories or moving your fingers over here on the side. Yeah. But there are definitely magicians I've seen over the years that legitimately are a master of their craft. And they truly are showing us magic. So it's kind of a fine line. It depends on who you're watching. Because like with Derek, I definitely feel like he is a magician. He does magic, not just illusions or comedy or anything along those lines. But other magicians I've seen in the past have been like, oh, I can literally see the mirror from where I'm sitting. It's like, really?
See the magicians on stage that perform live and stuff like that. But what interests me is the street magicians.
Oh, yeah.
Where they don't have all these, fancy props or anything.
They literally just have like a table and some cards.
Yeah, and they're gonna amaze you, and it's that kind of that endless practice.
Yeah.
I can do the simple, pick a card, any card, and then shuffle the deck and have your card like that. But some of these tricks are just incredible, and it's pretty amazing. Definitely recommend if you ever get the chance to watch a magic show, anything. It can blow you away. But I want to thank you for taking the time, coming and talking to me today, James.
Well, I'm glad you could have me.
It was awesome. I want to thank James, Justin, and Samantha for coming out here and talking to us this week on Story Behind the Story. You can catch Story Behind the Story weekdays on Thursday at 12 during Student Media Day, or Monday through Thursday at 6:30 p.m. live on KNWT Channel 8.